this morning, our focus is going to be on the hips. So the physical sequence will be emphasizing work with the low back and the hips. And also, I just want to, also have a little bit of a secondary focus in regards to breathing. So I just want to offer this to you as we're getting going this morning, and then we'll use this as part of our opening centering, kind of like incorporate this in a little bit. So when we think about the process of breathing, we break that down into like 3 different types of breathing. Okay, so the external breathing is like the function of the actual respiratory system. So you can think about the breath like going in and out of the lungs. And then what we have is called internal breathing, and that's where the oxygen like goes through the lung lining and then goes into the bloodstream. And then same with the carbon dioxide, right? Because that has to come back up through the lung lining so that you can release it as you breathe out. And then we also have what is called cellular respiration. And so this is happening at the level of the cells, that oxygen carbon dioxide exchange, or you could think of it as like oxygen waste exchange. So the cell is literally letting go of what it doesn't need. And it's in that letting go that allows us to take in the oxygen. I always like look at this as like, such a great way of just, looking at life in general. There always has to be this almost just this letting go before life opens up a new pathway for us. And so this exchange at the cells is called cellular breathing. And that's, the oxygen is coming in, it's using the oxygen to create energy so that it can, do the job that it's designed to do, thrive, survive, all of those things. And so there's 3 levels, right? So the breath on its more superficial is just a respiratory, but it's really the process of breathing is something that's happening all the way down into the deepest layers of who you are in your cells. And the breath is something that's involuntary, but also voluntary. So it's happening. So you don't obviously have to think about every time you're breathing in or breathing out, but it also is something that you can control. And through different techniques, you can change your nervous system and change the way you feel. You can energize yourself. You can feel more calm. And by moving the hands a little bit into different areas of the body, or just even through the awareness of your mind, you can, create shape change in different areas of your body when you breathe. And so that's where I'd like to start today, is just working with that a little bit. So go ahead and just come to your seat on your mat. Okay. All right. So, before we really get like too settled into our center, I just want to have you take your hands and place your hands onto the region of the pectoralis muscles. So just spread out your fingers and let your hands just rest on your chest for a moment. And then as your hands are here connected to your chest, you can notice your breath beneath your hands. Let's take another round or 2. I know this position with the elbows, it's not the most relaxing. So just do the best you can to kind of soften the shoulders, soften the elbows. You might even hook the elbows into the sides of the body and turn your fingertips more upright if you find you're creating tension. All right, and then let's take the hands and let's place them around the ribs, right? And again, so same thing, the elbows are kind of out to the side. So Do the best that you can to kind of soften the elbows, relax the shoulders, firmly plant the hands into your ribs, and then see if you can notice the breath beneath your hands. Last breath there. Okay, and then we want to go down below the belly button area. So the thumbs might even be still wrapping around the top of the navel, but the hands are just pressing gently into that space of the second energy wheel, that space between the belly button and the pubic bone. You might even feel the heels of your hands close to the frontal hip bones. Soften your shoulders, relax your elbows. And then again, just see if you can notice the breath beneath your hands. So the idea here is so that you can feel how you can change where it feels like your breath is expanding and releasing. Last inhale and last exhale there. Right. Maybe you notice, maybe you feel a little more calm. We're going to do this breathing exercise one more time, but without the hands touching the body now, we're just going to lift the hands up in front of the chest again. So the palms land a little lower than the pectoralis region. You can almost think like your palms are in line with the breast tissue, the nipple area. You're going to take your index fingers and your thumbs and you're going to bring them together. And then you're just going to relax your shoulders and your elbows and you're just going to turn the palms so that they're facing in toward the chest region. Let your eyes close and still see if you can feel the breath in the chest area. Okay, after the next exhalation, hands stay in the same position, but they just simply slide down so they're more in front of the ribs. Noticing the breath in the rib cage. Last exhale here. Now the hands staying in the same position are going to come about mid-thigh. You're going to turn the palms down to face the thighs, index finger and thumb still together. Notice the space between the belly button and the pubic bone, frontal hip bones, the sitting bones, even the legs. Feeling as though you can move the energy of the breath into these areas of the body. As the breath moves into these areas of the body, inviting in a sense of foundation and calmness, maintaining that sense of foundation and calmness as you rise upward with your spine and up through the crown of the head. Taking a last inhale and a last exhale here. And then allowing your eyes to just really softly begin to reopen. And then whatever it is that you're sitting on, you're gonna shift that off to the side. And we're gonna begin with some hip movements down on the spine. So have your strap or your scarf within hand's reach. Just shift your body as easily as you can down onto the back body. All right, so as you arrive, you might just place your feet flat and wide, stretch your arms out, turn your palms up to encourage opening across your chest, and then simply wave your knees from right to left. Although the stretch may feel mild across the outer hips, these wide feet windshield wipers do provide a gentle elongation of the gluteal muscles, especially the ones that are more side-lying, gluteus medius and minimus. All right, and then as you're feeling ready, you can point your knees up to the ceiling, bring your feet a little bit closer so the heels line up with the sitting bones. You're just gonna simply pick up your right foot and you're gonna cross your right ankle over your left thigh in the figure 4 shape. So you do wanna give some press out through the heel. And then you almost want to feel like your right knee is moving away from the body, away from the belly region and ribs. It's called external rotation of the hips. And we're going to take a little bit of twisting here. So you're going to take your breath in here in the center. And as you exhale, the figure 4 shape is going to tip off to the left. So you're going to roll to the outer edge of your left foot. And it's almost going to feel like the sole of your right foot, or at least that right heel's reaching down toward the mat. And then as you take the next breath in, allow the shape of your legs to once again return back to the center. And then exhale, just twisting the figure 4 shape off to the left, and then using your in-breath to rise back up. Exhaling to twist. Inhaling to rise. Last 2 times on this first side. Exhaling to twist, rocking to the outer edge of the left foot, and inhaling, come back up. And then last one, exhaling to twist. And inhaling to rise. As that left foot comes to plant firmly on the floor, uncross, let your right foot come down. As your right foot lands, pick up your left foot, cross your left ankle over your right thigh. So a little bit of activation through your left heel. And you want to feel as though the left knee is moving away a little bit from like the left low belly, left ribs. And then the arms are wide. Breathe in the center. And as you exhale, that shape of the legs now twisting off to the right as you rock to the outer edge of the foot, outer edge of the right foot. And then inhale, rise up. Exhaling to twist. Inhaling to rise. Few more rounds. Exhale to twist. Inhale to rise. Last 2 rounds. Exhale to twist. Inhale to rise. Last one. Exhale to twist. And inhale to rise. So as the right foot plants, uncross the left foot, let the left foot come down. Pick the right foot up again, cross the ankle over, figure 4. Now we're going to keep the arms out to the side or even down by the hips, but the arms stay grounded to the floor. We're going to pick up the left foot. So we have the figure 4 shape, but without the clasp of the hands behind the back of the left thigh. So feel a press out through your right heel. And we're just going to simply wave the whole shape of the legs from side to side. So the right knee still has this feeling of moving a little bit away from the belly as we move to external rotation in the hips. And there's just this really smooth and fluid rock from right to left across the low back. And you might feel some like pressure across the gluteal muscles. Just another few more rocks. All right, as your legs rock through the center, plant your left foot down, uncross your right foot, let your right foot land. As the right foot lands, pick up the left foot, cross the ankle over, press through the left heel. Left knee feels like it's moving somewhat away from the left ribs, left low belly, and the right foot is going to float up. So the shape of the leg starts to draw in toward the body. So the outer left ankle is going to press somewhat firm into the bottom of the right thigh area, and then you're just going to rock from right to left. Just a few more times. Okay, and then as you're rocking back to the center, you can pause, let your right foot come down, allow your left foot to uncross, plant the left foot down. Now here's where we're gonna take the straps. It's our final one on our back, but we're gonna be using the left foot for the straps. We're gonna pick up the left foot first. You're gonna loop the strap or the scarf around the left ball of the foot, and you send your left heel up to the sky. Now you're gonna hold onto the strap, but you're gonna let your left heel move toward the front short side of your mat. So you have this angle here. Both sides of the strap for a moment can come into the left hand. You're gonna pick up your right foot, and we're gonna take figure 4 shape again. So you're gonna catch hold of the right ankle, right foot, cross it over the bottom part of the left thigh, and then press through the right heel, and you might start to now draw the left leg back in toward the body. So you're going to hold one part of the strap in each hand. So just have figure 4 with the left leg extended. We're just going to bend and straighten this left knee a few times. So as you exhale, just allow the left knee to bend a bit so you come more into that original figure 4 shape. And then as you're inhaling, you can send your left heel back up toward the sky. Now, as you're sending your left heel up toward the sky, I want to just have you notice like your pelvis, because a lot of us have that loss of curve in the low back. So we'll feel the small of the back press down and the tailbone is kind of tipping up toward the sky. So I want to invite you to feel the tailbone and the pelvic floor almost reach toward the front short side of the mat so you don't get so much pressure of your low back down to the floor. So you have this reestablishing of the low back lumbar curve. Exhale, allow your left knee to just bend again for a moment. And then inhale as you send the left heel back up toward the sky. And then one more time, exhale, allow your left knee to bend. And then inhale as you reach the left leg up. Now we're gonna transfer both parts of the strap back into the left hand. You're gonna open your right arm out to the right, press out through your right heel, and you're just gonna go about 12 to maybe 8 inches over to the left. Same thing that we did earlier, but now the left leg is extended. So if you go too far, you might feel like your whole body is just gonna roll to the left. So just a little bit of twisting there. So your right arm can stay on the floor. Sometimes I like to take my right palm to like the lower part of my right thigh and just give a gentle press. Deep inhale. And deep exhale. Okay, and then slowly coming back up. So you can allow your left heel to slide forward again. So it's almost reaching toward the front short side. So that's going to make it easier to unhook the right foot. You can bend your left knee, let your left foot come down, wide feet, wide knees, rock your knees a few times fluidly from side to side. Okay, and then let's just come back to the center, pick up the right foot, hook the ball of the right foot on the belt, send your heel up, slide the right heel forward. Catch both sides of the strap in the right hand so that you can pick up your left foot, reach for the foot, and then cross the ankle on the bottom part of the right thigh. So hold on to the strap now, one part in each hand. And as you exhale, you can allow your right knee to bend. And then as you're breathing in, you can send your right heel back up toward the sky. So before we go into those last 2 rounds, notice the pelvic floor and notice the tip of the spine, the tailbone. So just have this sensation, instead of curling the back under, if you could reach your tailbone and the pelvic floor a little bit toward the front short side. So you might notice the whole shape of the legs even moves a little bit away from the body when you do that. And then 2 more times. Exhale, let your right knee bend. Inhale to reach the right leg up. Okay, last one. Exhale, allow the knee to bend. Okay, and then inhale as you stretch the right heel back up. So you're gonna let your right heel reach forward, maybe 30, 40 degrees. And then you can uncross your left foot, allow your left foot to come down, allow your right knee to bend. Set the strap out to the side, wide knees, wide feet, stretch your arms out. Last windshield wipers here. Okay, and we're gonna roll to the right or to the left, or you can always take that rock forward and back on your spine to come up. And you're gonna press your hands down, you're gonna rise up. So you might leave your blanket there. We're gonna work with the front of the hips now. So we're gonna first just come to tabletop position. And the blocks, if you're using them, might be to the front short side of the yoga mat. So we're gonna start here by shifting the weight into the left knee. So wide hands, fingers spread. Let's shift the weight into the left knee, and you're gonna breathe in and send your right leg up and back. So this helps to strengthen the spinal muscles and open the front of the body. And in particular today, our focus is on, dropping the breath a little deeper into the belly and that opening across the hips, right? So here we're gonna open the front right hip as we tip the belly down to the floor and lift the heart. Then as you exhale, we're gonna draw the right knee in toward either the right ribs or the right elbow. Doesn't really matter, just whatever works better for your body. And then inhale, send your right leg back up. Lift up through the heart slightly as you release the belly. And then as you exhale, draw your right knee in toward the chest, pressing into the hands around the spine. Inhale as you send the right leg back up, release through the belly, lift through the heart. Exhale as you draw the right knee in toward the chest, press into the hands around the back. We're just doing that one last time. Inhale, lift the right leg up. Exhale, draw the right knee in. Inhale, reach the right leg up. And then as you exhale, set the right knee down on the floor. Okay. Now we're going to walk the hands over to the right a little bit. So just kind of lean a little bit to the right. Lean more into the right knee, into the right hand. Lift up your left knee and then slide the left foot forward so you come into low lunge. And so this is where it might be helpful to place the blocks beneath the hands so that we can go through some low lunge, half split flow. So you're feeling more of an opening now across the front right hip, right? This is deeper than that tabletop with the leg lifted, but we're just kind of progressing those poses along, right? So when we work with progression of poses, it's called vinyasa krama, right? You start with the more basic variation, kind of add on to that so that your body feels more prepared for whatever you're asking it to do. So here's the breath in, and then as you exhale, just lift your hips up and back as you rock onto your front right heel. Half split pose. And then as you're breathing in, let your left foot come down. As the left foot comes down, draw your tailbone down and let the sides of your body lengthen up. So you want to let your gaze come up as you do that low lunge position, finding that gazing point. As you exhale, shift your hips up and back, half split position. So the gaze goes downward toward the floor. And then as you're inhaling, left foot coming down, tailbone drawing down, side body's growing long, gaze is forward. And then one more time, exhale, take the hips back, rock to the left heel. And then as you inhale, plant the left foot. Now you want to have that scissor action in the legs. So left heel and right knee draw together. Slide the hands maybe up to the left thigh, or you might place your hands together, prayer position at your heart, and your thumbs might even gently touch against the sternum. And so as you touch the thumbs against the sternum, you might feel the breath, the inhale and the exhale right beneath the thumbs. Now you can stay here, or the hands can stay together in prayer, but you could lift them over your head and then hook the heels of your hands almost behind the back of the skull. So you kind of hold the back of the skull with your wrists as your elbows draw in, and the elbows draw in, and then they reach up, tailbone draws down, take a breath in. And then as you exhale, start to come forward. Let the hands come down and bring the hands to the inside of the left foot. Lean more to the right knee so that you can step the left foot back. Okay, so one more pose in this progression. We're going to come to tabletop. We're going to lift up the left knee, move the left foot off to the left so it lands in preparation for modified side plank. So ground into your left hand, extend out through your right knee, inner edge of the right foot comes down to the floor as the right hand rises to the crest of the right hip. Now here the tailbone is going to really gently draw down. So when you do that, the pubic bone almost tips, it's so slight, but it tips up toward the bottom of your sternum, okay? And one of your abdominal muscles pulls the bottom of the sternum and the pubic bone toward one another. And so you feel this strengthening across the front of the body, and you can use that to float your right leg up into the half moon variation, maybe, right? So you can always keep the inner edge of the foot down, or you can progress to having the leg lifted if that feels right for today. Or you might take a stronger stretch for the front right hip, which we've been working with. So you can bend your right knee and maybe start to move the right foot back. You can stay there if it's in your practice to catch hold of the right ankle with your right hand. You might take that bind. So a little stronger opening now for the front right hip, the strongest of the three things we've done so far. Ankle activates into the hand, a deep inhale. And a deep exhale. Inhale. If you have the foot in the ankle bind, you can open everything back up. Exhale, we're all coming to all fours. Coming to neutral cat-cow. Inhale, tip the belly down toward the floor. Lift up through the heart. Exhale, pressing into the hands, drawing the tailbone under, rounding through the spine. Inhale, release the belly. Lift up through the heart. Exhale, press into the hands, take the tailbone under and round through the spine. Inhale, tip the belly down toward the floor. Okay, lift up through the heart. Exhale, neutral spine. Going to see if you can come to between the extremes of cat-cow. Okay, so just like plank pose here, we're going to press into the hands. And at first you might feel your upper back round, but I'm going to invite you to keep that strong press into the hands, but find more neutral across your shoulder blades. So you can even imagine that the center of your chest bone is releasing a little bit toward the floor. Okay, we're going to press into the balls of the feet. You can always stay here. This is called hover cat. Press into your hands and then hover your knees. So you might have this tendency to round in the spine. I just want to see if you can create a little more like neutral in the spine as the knees are hovering. Deep inhale. And on your next exhale, lightly lower the knees down to the floor. So you're going to ground down into your right knee now. Inhale, send your left leg up and back behind you. Let your belly tip down toward the floor as you lift the center of your chest up. And then as you exhale, curl your left knee into your ribs or in toward your elbow. Press into your hands, round your spine. Inhale as you send your left leg up behind you, lift up through your heart. Exhale as you curl your knee in, pressing into your hands, rounding in your spine. Inhale as you send your left leg up and back behind you. Exhale, curl the knee into the chest. Okay, last one. Inhale, reach the left leg up and back behind you. Exhale, curl the knee into the chest. Inhale as you send your left leg up and back behind you. And then as you're exhaling, set your left knee down onto the floor. So you're going to walk your hands over to the left, lean more into the left hand and the left knee so that you can step your right foot forward. And then that's where you're going to bring your hands to frame the front right foot. So you can use blocks, or if your hands are on the floor, that's fine too. It's just a little deeper, right? So the hands on the blocks kind of creates like this stilts feel, right? You just have this extension of your arms so that you can get a little more lift up. So inhale, low lunge. Notice the opening across the front of your left hip, allowing the breath to move a little bit deeper, right? So we want to think of the respiratory system, the breath riding along with the process of the circulatory system, and then that exchange at the level of the cells. Deep inhale here, and as you exhale, move your hips back, rocking onto the right heel, half split pose. Inhale, ground down, right foot, roots, side bodies grow long, and then as you exhale, just nice and easy, just rocking the hips back. Half split, and then just another few times. Inhale, right foot down, side body's long, gaze is forward. Exhale, rock to the right heel. Inhale, low lunge. We'll do one more. Exhale, move the hips back. Okay, inhale, low lunge. So we create that strength action now by firing up the legs so that they feel like two parts of the scissors, drawing in toward the center. Hands come up to the front thigh. You can always stay there. You can bring your hands up, place your prayer hands at your heart, touch your thumbs to your heart. So it's going to bring more awareness to the breath beneath your thumbs. The breath expanding and opening across the chest muscles, which are breathing accessory muscles, especially pectoralis minor, which hooks into the ribs. You can always stay here. Lifting the arms up does increase the back bend, so it increases the intensity across the low back. So hands at the heart, or take your prayer hands over your head. Let your heels of your hands come close to the back of the skull as your wrists hug into the sides of your head and your elbows tip up toward the sky. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Last inhalation here, and then as you're exhaling, your hands can come down and they can come to the inside of your right foot. Lean into your left hand, left knee so that you can step the right knee back. So as that right knee lands down on the floor, we're going to pick up the right knee, move the right foot off to the right, and then send the left leg out for modified side plank pose. So the fingers of the right hand are going to spread. That's like your activation down to the earth. Left hand's going to come up to the hip. So draw the tailbone slightly down. So you're going to feel the tip of the bottom of the sternum and then the pubic bone tip toward one another slightly, right? And then you can use that to help you maybe float up your left leg. And that's just a maybe, because modified side plank is its own pose, right? It has lots of benefits. So you can always stay there. I call this the knee down half moon pose. So you can stay here, or that left knee can bend and the foot can move back. So you start to move into that stronger opening now for the front left hip. You can stay there. You can take your left hand to the front left ankle. That's a hard catch, right? So if you take that catch and the knee comes forward, you might do the pose without the catch, right? Because we're working to open the front body. And when the knee moves forward, it closes the front hip off again. So ankle activates into the hand if you have that catch. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Inhale, we'll all open the pose back out, and exhale as the hand and the knee come back down. Tabletop position. So inhale, tip your belly down to the mat, lift up through the chest, and as you exhale, press into your hands, peek your tailbone under, round through your spine. Inhale, release your belly down toward the floor, lift up through the heart. Activate your hands down, draw your tailbone under, round through your spine. Inhale, release your belly down to the floor. Exhale, neutral with your spine. So you want to take the top of your head, it's like a flashlight shining straight forward, okay? So press into your hands so much that maybe you do get rounding in your upper back. Now keep the press of the hands, but let the front of the sternum melt a little bit down toward the floor. So to me, that's what it literally feels like. It feels like I'm taking my heart and just melting it a bit toward the earth. Keep all those things. Activate the hands, or the balls of the feet and the hands into the floor. Float your knees maybe, hover cat. So just tapping into your strength now, right? So we use the flexibility to tap us into that level of ease in the body. But the practice is also about strength, right? Really stepping into your power, setting boundaries, right? Creating a container for emotional resilience. Take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, let your knees come down, tabletop. Now we're gonna take a few hip circles here. So walk your hands a little bit farther forward. We're about to come down onto the belly, giving the knees a break here, but let's just circle the hips around a few times. Feeling some movement in the hips and feeling that through your spine and your torso, and there's movement here in the shoulders. Okay, and then we'll reverse, go the other way. All right, and so as you're coming through the center, you can take modified plank. right? So tip your hips forward so there's a diagonal line from your hip points to your knees, and float your feet up into the air. Okay? And just, you can even cross at your ankles and your feet. I find that to be really helpful. Okay, take a breath in, and then as you exhale, let your elbows bend. And let's lower to the chest and ribs. Okay, tops of the feet are gonna come down. We're gonna work a little bit more with those frontal hip points here with some cobra positions. You're gonna let the tops of your feet come down. You can, some people say bring the feet together like a cobra tail. I'll encourage you to do the opposite of that. So keep your feet apart, and you can bring your hands underneath of your lower chest, upper ribs. And we're gonna do cobras first here without the hands. So you're gonna draw your elbows into the sides of your body, draw your tailbone down, and inhale, lift your chest and float your hands so that you're using all back strength. Okay. Exhale as you come down. You might even just turn your head to the right or to the left just so you can rest your head for a moment as you come down. And then as you inhale, start to turn your nose back to the mat, hug your elbows in, press the tops of your feet down, start to curl up and float your hands. And then as you exhale, let your hands come down, turn your head the other way. And then again, inhale, turn your nose to the mat, draw your elbows in, draw your tailbone down, float your chest, float your hands. Exhale as your hands come down and you turn, right? So these poses for the breath are really important. It's opening up the front hips, but slouching is one way to create stagnation in the respiratory system in the lungs. So bring the nose back to the center. So back bends are the antidote for opening up the front of the body. Draw your tailbone down, lift up through the chest, float the hands, and then come down with the hands, turn the head. So repetition sometimes for the mind is so challenging because our mind loves to just keep doing new things. So let's just do one more of these, right? So bring the nose back to the center, hug the elbows into the sides of the body, press down to the tops of the feet, float up. This time, keep your hands down on the floor. Now you can use your hands a little bit on this one. So this will be our longer hold, right? So press into the floor, draw your tailbone down. You might use a little bit of arm strength to maybe come up a little higher. And if you have a lot of back mobility, right, spinal mobility, you might press into your hands and lift still a little higher. Now, wherever you end up, let's take the chin and slightly lift it so the gaze is going to go forward. Notice the openness across the front of your body, the chest, the ribs, the belly, low belly, front hips, down through the thighs. Inhale, and as you exhale, let's lower. Inhale, press up through table. Exhale, let's go. First downward dog, right? So activate your hands, press into the balls of the feet, float your knees, float your hips, walk out your legs. All right. All right, let's take a breath in and exhale here. And then as you inhale, look up to your hands, step your feet forward, come into the forward fold, just kind of hang the head. All right, so inhale, slide your hands up onto your shins, reach out long through the crown of your head, and exhale, fold into your legs. Let's work with circulation a bit here. Inhale, circle, sweep your arms, reach your arms up to the side, rise up. Prayer hands coming through the heart, bend at your knees, hinge your body forward over your legs, coming into forward bend. Inhale, slide your hands upward onto your shins, reach out through the crown of your head. Exhale, plant your hands, downward facing dog. So you can do that a modified Sun A, and you could hold here in down dog. You can also take a modified Sun A by lowering your knees and taking tabletop cat-cow. Otherwise, I call these pendulum swings, but they're cobra down dog swings. You can inhale, shift your hips forward, plank. A little bit of softening in your elbows so that the hips can come down and the chest can pull through cobra. Exhale, draw your belly strong into the spine. Lift the hips back up, down dog. Inhale, send the hips forward, softening at the elbows. Let the hips come down, the heart pull through. You can always rock back through tabletop first. Otherwise, you have to draw the belly in. Strongly draw the belly in as you send the hips high. One more time. Inhale, shift the hips forward, plank. A little softening in your elbows, cobra position. Exhale, draw the belly strongly in, send your hips nice and high. Down dog, hold, deep breath in. Deep breath out. Last inhale and exhale here. Okay, inhale, look up to your hands, step your feet forward. As you arrive in forward fold, inhale, take halfway lift with your spine. Hands on the floor or hands up on the shins. Exhale, fold into your legs. Inhale, bend your knees, sweep your arms around and up. Feel your body rise upward to the sky, extended mountain prayer, hands coming through the heart, bend at the knees, hinge forward. We're just going to do one more of this variation of Sun A. So inhale, slide your hands up onto your shins, reach out through the crown of the head. Exhale, plant the hands down dog. So traditionally, you would wake up in the morning and do rounds of sun salutes, right? To like get your blood moving, to get the respiratory system moving, right? So you can probably feel that here, like builds heat, builds energy, might cause you to breathe a little bit faster, right? So that the breath, as it speeds up and the blood gets moving, we start to wake up, right? And energize. Right, inhale, shift the hips forward. Remember, you can always skip these and hold in down dog or take tabletop cat-cow. Let your chest pull through and exhale as you send your hips nice and high, down dog. Inhale, let your hips come forward. Let your elbows soften as your hips come down and your heart pulls through. Exhale, downward facing dog. One more time, inhale, shift your hips forward. Let your elbows begin to soften. Let your heart pull through. Exhale, downward facing dog. Okay, deep inhale. Deep exhale. Now I do want to work with just a side plank position, just to open up through the side respiratory muscles. So one thing I want you to remember is we did that knee down variation at the beginning. So you can always take your left knee down to the floor and move your left foot up and take the knee down variation, okay? Otherwise, I'm going to invite you to start to shift your heels to the left and down dog, and more weight's coming into the left hand. Now, another option is you could actually hold here, but with just a little bit of extra weight in the left hand. Now, the next option is to start to come up onto the right fingertips. You might stack your feet. Okay, and then the right hand can come up to your hip, can come up to the sky. And another option is to bring the arm by the ear so that you open up a little bit more through the respiratory muscles. Take a breath in and a breath out. Right, this top arm can start to come back up. We can let the elbow bend so we can come through the center. Down dog. The child's pose is in the near future. So last side. So remember, you can always lower your right knee and take the side plank from there. Okay. Otherwise, the heels from down dog will start to shift a little more to the right. More weight into the right hand. You might even keep the left hand down, or you might start rocking up onto the fingertips, left fingertips, so that your feet can stack. And then your right hand can ground down. Inner edges of your feet like zip together. They really hug in toward one another. Left arm can reach up, or you can press into your hand, reach your left arm by your left ear. And that left arm can start to rise up. The hand can start to come back down toward the floor. We're shifting nice and easy through the center. Deep inhale, deep exhale. All right, and let's lower the knees. Big toes close, knees wide apart, sink the hips, child's pose. So, right, the poses are just an interesting way to just work with energy. Okay, and that's when we did that exercise at the beginning where we, shifted the hands around, right? We're working with shifting the energy of the breath. Low lunge drops more energy down toward the earth, so it's a very grounding pose. But when we stretch the arms back up by the tip by the ears to the sky, that changes the dynamics. In side plank pose, we use the arms, the hands to balance, which draws more energy up. So it's a more invigorating pose. So I like to think of the poses as each having like a medicinal effect, really. And so we can use them to really cultivate greater balance physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, if we understand how to work with the energetics of the poses. All right, deep breath in, deep breath out. All right, let's rock back up through all fours. We're gonna shift back down onto the spine. So just bring your legs out to the right or to the left, and we'll sweep the legs around. And we'll come on down to the spinal column. So just nice and easy, come on back down and let your knees bend, let your feet go wide. So we're gonna take the hips and we're gonna move the hips a little bit to the right. Okay, so just slide your hips a little off center to the right, and then you're gonna let your knees drop over to the left. You can keep your feet in this wide windshield wiper twist, or this right foot and knee, inner thigh can come to stack on top of the inner left leg. So revolved abdominal position it's called. So stronger stretch likely for you, maybe across the right hip, right low back, can stretch your arms out. So you might take your left hand and press into the top right thigh and feel your right arm ground toward the floor. So I'm gonna see if you can let the weight of your right arm sink down, and the right shoulder blade, you know, I can feel mine slightly elevated, right? But the energetics then are gonna be in honor of releasing that right shoulder blade back down toward the floor. Deep inhalation. Deep exhalation. All right, we're gonna let the left hand release. We're gonna let the right top leg slide back to that windshield wiper movement, and both knees will come up to the sky. Move the pelvis also back to the ceiling or to the center. So knees point to the sky for a moment, and then sway your knees a few times from side to side. All right, and then let your knees point back to the ceiling. Slide your hips a little to the left, so they're off center to the left, and then you're gonna let your knees go to the right. And then you're gonna maybe stay there, or your left leg is gonna come to stack on top of your right leg. Your right arm could stay open, or you can take your right hand to your left thigh and then just open up through your chest. Deep inhalation and deep exhalation. All right, so after this next exhalation, let your right arm release, let your top left leg just kind of swing back a little bit, and then let your knees rise back up to the ceiling so the hips are a little off center to the left. So just scoot the hips back to the center, and then just a couple times, just that gentle sway of the knees from side to side. Okay, and then you can pick up your right foot and your left foot. You can draw your thighs in toward the body. And we're going to take either knees to chest or happy baby shape. So you can let your knees open back out to the side. So just a symmetrical pose here, opening up through the inner legs, through the pelvic floor. So earlier in the practice at the beginning, we talked about that tailbone tipping up toward the sky. And that's something you can be aware of here, right? Take the pelvic floor and the tailbone and reach the pelvic floor and the tailbone toward the front short side of the mat. So you might feel as that is happening, there's a little bit of a lightness in the low back, this reestablishment of the low lumbar curve. Okay, last inhale, last exhale. And we're gonna let the knees and thighs come back in toward one another, knees to chest. And then as you're ready, you can let your hands release, let your feet come down to the floor, sway your knees from side to side. Okay, and we're gonna take the legs and extend the legs out along the floor. And as we're getting settled in, I'm just gonna have you take your hands back up to your heart, right? Like the chest area, pectoralis area. So if you take your elbows a little bit wide away from the body, you'll be able to get your backs of your arms to settle down into the mat. So it's a little more relaxing. And just feel the beating of your own heart. The movement of your breath. And let your hands come down to the ribs. You can feel your ribs moving as a result of the lungs beneath expanding and releasing. And bring the hands down to the belly. You can keep the hands on the abdominal region, or you can let your arms extend by your hips, turn your palms up. Allowing yourself to come back to the feeling of your body supported by the earth. Allowing your knees one at a time to bend so that your feet come flat to the floor. And then beginning to roll your body over to the right or to the left so you come side lying. Pressing your hands down into the earth, slowly rising back up to your seat. As you arrive, join your hands together at your heart. The light within me sees and bows to that same light within each of you. Namaste.